Hi guys, welcome to the next episode of the Strong Dad Army podcast. This week, my guest is strength coach, youth strength coach, all-round top guy, Andy Lavery. How you doing, pal?
Oh, hey, mate. All right.
Good time, mate. Good time. Long time no see. So,
Yeah.
we'll... Sorry, mate, go on.
No, I was saying it's been a while. It's been a while since I've seen anyone.
It is, mate. Tell me about it. So, this could even be in season 3 for all I know, because I've near enough recorded season 2. So we're actually recording this as the gyms are almost ready to open in, I don't know, 10 days time, something like that. So we'll probably talk about that because Andy, as we'll talk about in a, as the show goes on, is a strength coach, works with adults and does a lot of youth development as well. But we'll get into that in a few minutes, right, mate? So, as I do with everybody, let's start at the beginning, mate. What was childhood in Rochdale like for you?
Well,
were you good or a bad kid?
So a bit of a disclosure. I'm from like a bit of a little town that's inside Rochdale called Haywood. Mm-hmm. It's like shout out to the Haywood Massive. So Haywood don't really associate himself with Rochdale, but I fell in love and married a girl from Rochdale, so I ended up living here instead. So it's only like down the road. It's like a stone's throw away, but yeah, I'm quick to put people right that I'm not really from Rochdale. I'm from Haywood.
Right, apologies, mate.
Bit like when I started talking to you and said, "Oh, you're from Wigan?" No.
Well, that's it, innit? Everyone makes that mistake, and there might be a few Wiganers listening, but there's nothing more hurtful than being said, "Oh yeah, that's Wigan, innit?" No, it isn't.
Yeah. So life for me, it was pretty much the same as a lot of people. Working class family, grew up on a council estate, on a part of Haywood called Downhill. So in Haywood, there's two parts of, well, there's three really. Well, four. 2 posh parts, 2 kind of rough parts. So I was one of the rough parts. I was born in Downhill. And I lived there for most of my childhood. Didn't really make me rough. It just made me quick at running, so getting away from trouble, really, things like that. So it didn't really make
climbing
me
trees as well.
Yeah, climbing trees, doing piggybacks, all the stuff that kids are told that they're not supposed to do now. So yeah, it was like, nothing like I had a really good family. I didn't have a broken home or anything like that. My mum and dad was like maybe the best parents ever. So nothing, not like a drastic sad backstory or anything like that. Just a really, really good childhood. Quite lucky.
Nice, good stuff. So with you, like I said, we'll move on to it in a short while. But with you, being a coach now, a sport or exercise or whatever always played a part in your life, mate? Is it something you've always done, or is it just something you picked up later in life?
Yeah. It's played football got into the school team playing football at like 8-9 years old for primary. Played football all the way through till about the age of like 35, 36. Would like to have played at a higher level, but played at a decent amateur level, but not quite there to be the sport. Had a few trials, but you hadn't. Everyone's had trials, haven't they? But yeah, it's been a massive part. I've always played quite a few sports. Went to college, did sports science, played loads of sports there. Back in the days when I was growing up, there wasn't like an over 16s rule for gym, so you could always sneak into the gym at like 12, 13.
Oh yes.
So I've always been kind of active.
Nice. So I know this, but you've not always been a strength coach, have you? I know, and it was something you did on the side of your old job. But if you could tell us about your old job, if you would, mate, because it's not always been sport as a career, if you like, or training. Athletes, kids, whatever, hasn't always been your career, has it, mate?
No. Well, kind of, yeah, but like a different subject. So when I left school, I wanted to be a PE teacher. So I went to college, did sports science. Left college, I was absolutely skint. So took a few jobs. And one of them was a classroom assistant at a special needs school. And it turned out to be like the best decision I've ever made because, I started going down the route of teaching, then classroom teaching. Got a few teaching quals. Met my wife, my future wife. So I got into the line of teaching post-16. So kids that kind of left school with not that much qualifications, or if any, not really any qualifications. They used to come to our place and we teach them. So my specialism was English. So we'd do lots of work, like, you know, we'd do some resits for GCSEs.
Mm-hmm.
And then functional, it's called, I don't know what it's called now, it's been a long time, but it was functional skills when I was doing it. So yeah, I did Master English there. I loved it. I did that for the best part of 12 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
Might be even longer, actually. So yeah, but while I was doing that, because they wanted to do like a bit of a sport themed kind of activities, they wanted to do like more like gym classes and things like that. I used to take their class. So obviously it was like, I wasn't qualified then to do it or anything, but you know, you like sports, Andy. You take these sports sessions for us, so it's kind of that kind of thing. So yeah, so I kind of got back a little from that, and I think I was 33, 34. I got to the point where I was miserable. I've gone to a couple of different places. I taught a couple of different places.
Mm-hmm.
Started getting the Sunday night fare, like dreading going to work on a Monday.
Yeah.
And then my missus kind of just said, "Why don't you just do a course? Do your PT? Do you like level 3?" So I undernard about it for a bit, and then it got to the point where I just thought, you know, just sack it. What's the worst that can happen? So I did that, and that was when I started the process of doing like PT work. So from there, it was kind of doing lots of 5 a.m. groups for pretty much nothing. So if all PTs out there, the only bit of advice is that you could probably back this up as well, Dan, is that you're probably not going to earn anything for the first year.
No way.
You might get petrol money. That's about it.
Mm.
So I used to do a lot of 5 a.m. groups, and then it was home, see the kids for 10 minutes, go to work, 9 to 5 job teaching, come home, see the kids for another 10 minutes, and then back out to doing sessions like boot camps on the park and pretty much anything that could get people in the doors through. And that was about 18 months.
Nice.
Earning cock all.
That's it though, isn't it, mate? Yeah, like you say, it's but when it's something you enjoy doing, of course, at some point you want to start earning money, because especially if you've got a thought of it potentially becoming your main career, your main source of income, you do need to start making money at some point. But if it's something you enjoy, it's something you kind of have to accept at the beginning, don't you, mate?
Yeah. And I think, so I've spoken to a couple of like PTs with just starting out now. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, I'm like, 7 years in, I still think I'm just starting out now.
I'm exactly the same, mate. Exactly the same.
Yeah. And I think the biggest advice I can give is like, just be a little bit more realistic.
Yeah.
If you're 19, 20 years old, you could basically do nothing for 10 years and still be young as shit.
Yeah.
So you got loads of time to make loads of mistakes, realize what works, what doesn't. There's quite a lot of pressure that you have to make it in your 20s. I mean, Jesus, I don't think does anyone really make it? If you're quite successful in what you do, you just carry on going, don't you? Of
course you do, mate. No. And I think, like, on that, a similar thing, or, you know, that ties in with it is obviously this day and age with social media and everything. If someone wants to be a PT, or they're already a PT or some kind of trainer, the problem is that you'll probably back me up on this. You see a lot of these coaches, PTs, whatever you want to call them, and they're acting like they've got this flash lifestyle. So they think that job pays a lot of money, and it doesn't. It can do. It certainly can do, mate, you know, because I do know a few do extremely well out of it, you know, and they've absolutely nailed down their like niche, their market, whatever, and they do very well out of it. But, you know, it's not something that pays all that well from the beginning, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that people who are unbelievably wealthy are the outliers. There is a good living to be made. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I live in squalor, because I don't, but no. I'm definitely not. There's no pool in my backyard or anything like that.
No.
But yeah, I think they're the outlier. I think there is a good living to be made from it. I wouldn't be put off from doing it, but I wouldn't really be expecting to be a millionaire in the first year or so.
I think a perfect time to do it for a lot of people is when you're still living at home with your parents.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no overheads, just do it.
Isn't it? Yeah, definitely. So, right, so obviously we're doing these sessions at 5 a.m. after work, once you've seen the kids for a short while. At what point then, mate, was it like, right, this can't go on anymore? Because no doubt, you family life was I'd imagine was probably being affected by it with your wife and your kids. So at what point was it right? The transition needs to happen now. I've had enough of the teaching. This is what I need to do for my career. Where did that come, or how did it come? What made you do it?
The boss, she told me. She said you need to do something about it quick, because it was a strain in our marriage.
Yeah.
I don't really see it at the time, but looking back, we say it. We're pretty open. We said that was probably the most strain our marriage has had. So it was a case of going part-time teaching, so taking another hit on steady money, because I think that was the thing as well. It's just having, you get into a habit of steady income coming in. Marriage, 2 boys, and you get used to that. That money coming in every month.
Of course you do, mate.
So yeah, so that was a big hit on that, but it also spurred me on to increase my client base as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, did that for another year. So working part-time while I just built my other business, and then I made the jump. I spoke to a guest that he'd had on Stapes. I messaged him and asked if I could coach from his place for a bit, and he didn't even hesitate. And I owe a lot to that guy for just giving me a bit of there's a lot of people that have helped me along the way, don't get me wrong. But I owe a lot to Stapes, just for not even any questions. You just said, we had a coffee.
Yeah.
It said it could come in, starting from there, and started building my business further from there. So I had a home, a full gym so I like to work from. So yeah, I'm always grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just for anyone who's not listened to it, season 1 with Martin Stapleton, or Stapes, he's a good lad. You just get that vibe about him. I've only met him in person very briefly, which was, funnily enough, obviously when I came down to your gym for the first time. But I just get that vibe about him. I think he's just one of those guys he'll pretty much help anybody out, doesn't he?
Yeah, 100%.
Vibe, mate. So out of interest though, is it the gym that you were working out of then, his Full Contact as it was called at the time, is that the same unit he's in now, or has he moved? Because I know it's SPG now, isn't it? So is he the same place?
It's the same unit.
Right.
It looks totally different now.
Yeah.
In fact, I went in, I think I popped in more than a couple of months before lockdown, but just pop in, see everyone. Because I'm spending a bit of time with Kyron at the minute, who's training from there.
Yep.
So I just nipped in for a beer and have a look around, but you could tell it was going to be something big. But I've obviously not been down since it's been done and ready to go yet. But I will be.
Yeah, and we've been seeing the stuff he's been posting. Looks good. But right, mate. So made that transition then, part-time with the teaching and that. So how long was it then until you again felt like it was time to move on and open up your own unit, bringing you pretty much up to today? When did that come about?
Lots of shopping around for units. And I think it was about a year doing part-time teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Found a unit that was affordable. So that's what excuse me, I'm burping away here.
All right, man, I'm always doing that.
So part-time teaching for about a year. Got to a point where I could afford to pay rent, but probably not much else. So we made the jump. And then for the first month of getting our own premises, so we got the keys in July. Spent a month getting the gym up to scratch, because it was like a bit of a storage room, so it was a bit of a shit to it, really.
What year was this again, mate? Sorry.
This was 2017, so
right,
3 years.
Okay.
So got the keys 3 years ago this month.
Nice.
Opened that up, and then in the first month of the doors opening, 4 of my clients left.
Oh no!
So that was, I think, I can't remember some of the reasons. One of them was, I think they were doing a bit of travelling abroad and taking a bit of a break from teaching themselves.
Okay.
One of them had lost a job. One of them was making like financial cutbacks and things, the usual stuff.
Yeah.
That's another thing as well. If anyone leaves, you don't take it personally.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah. Because like I said, and thing is, having a PT or coach of any sort tends to be one of the first things to go, because a lot of people do see it as a bit of a luxury, don't they? Which I disagree, but it's a lot do.
Yeah, I do totally. I think I think it's a vital part of your life.
Mm.
And it does sound like something that we'd say, but it's because we spend so much time with people who are living that lifestyle or doing what we or train. It doesn't really matter who you train with, but if you live in a healthy lifestyle, it offers you more than in an unhealthy lifestyle.
Absolutely, mate. And that's the same thing for me. I mean, I've not got my own coach to help me with training, but I do have a coach who helps me out with, like, my social media, my marketing and all that kind of stuff, because I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. So, and that's the thing. Again, I don't see that as a luxury. I see it as something that's pretty vital to me, because, don't get me wrong, I could sit, read a load of stuff, but considering it, obviously, I work full time. I also run this business part time, exactly like you, mate. Family, kids, the lot. I do struggle for time to do the extra stuff, but I feel like I'm one of those who can say I might not have the time.
Yeah.
Right, mate. So we've got these keys. You lost your 4 clients in that first month or so, but obviously I've seen how things have been over the last probably couple of years for things look to be pretty steady, I think. But obviously, no doubt, word probably started getting around Rochdale that there was this place open, because it's a cracking gym you've got. So did it take a while to start building up, or?
Yeah, and I still, because at first it was I did kind of like the fact that no one really knew where we were, and we still kind of had that kind of like feel towards us as well. We're not, so we're set in next to a load of units, and when you walk in, you wouldn't think that there's a gym there.
Yeah.
Can you hear my kids screaming upstairs?
Slightly, mate, but don't worry, it is what it is. Listen, there's plenty of dads that'll be listening to this whose kids are screaming while they're listening. Don't worry about it, man.
That white noise to me now. I forget sometimes that it's going on. So what we did, so it's kind of in the middle of nowhere where we are, and I kind of like that feel to it, but then I thought it's probably not the best business plan really to have a place that's quite hard to find. So it was just a case of like inviting people in, free sessions. We started doing squat shops, bench shops, and also deadlift shops as well, which is, we've not done them for a while, so we need to start them. We are planning to start them back up again, but we used to have just inviting people around, so like a free workshop where people come in, check the squats. So they've been training for like a week, or they've been training for like 10 years. And people will be coming in and just get round, do a workshop, take them through a warm up, and then we'll do some coaching and just see if, what can work on in terms of like improving like squat, bench, and deads. So that was quite good. That got us known a little bit.
Yeah.
And obviously the kids sessions as well. So I started those in the first summer. So I kind of half started them up at Full Contact. And used to have some sessions there. And then when we opened the gym, we opened up, it was called Mini Savages then. But some of the kids that are there, they're still with me now.
Yeah.
And they're like 14, 15, they're like a foot taller than me. So calling them Mini Savages was a little bit patronising.
Yeah.
Kind of changed that around a little bit. But yeah, it was to get people interested. It was just a lot of free stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stuff that I was just giving away, just try and get people to come down to see the place.
And that's the thing, isn't it, mate? I think that's one thing I've learned as well through having, like I said, my own coach who I mentioned, and just other coaching like seminars I've watched or even been to or whatever, is, this for anyone really, I suppose, in a way, who's might be thinking of setting up a business, is you're going to have to give something away for nothing at some point, even if it's as simple as a downloadable ebook or something. There needs to be something that will just get people interested in it and in what you've got to say or what you've got to offer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just like getting people to know who you are.
Yeah.
And then not be boring. Try and get them to people to try and get something solved. Having something interesting to say that can actually give them something. So once you've got their attention, that's only a little part of the puzzle. Mm-hmm. You still got to get them engaged then. Which I find like your stuff is like just on point at the minute. Just the stuff that you put out, I can understand 100% why people engage with your stuff.
I do.
Yeah, I do like it. I wish I had the technological nous to do some of the stuff that you do, especially the dancing one. It was when I don't know if I'm saying that. I don't really call people. In fact, I never call people out, so I won't say his name. But I remember someone put on something, might give you a bit of grief when he comments about the gym's opening.
Yes.
And so you know where he is straight away.
Dickhead.
So I'm not. I won't say it. I can't remember his full name anyway. I won't say it anyway. But
Yeah, no, we'll keep it stum.
yeah, but I do like the response to it. It was just like, I thought you. It wasn't like it didn't turn into a big like tennis match where it was just like back and forwards all the time, and that's which is going to eat up into your time, change your mood about people, change your mood about interacting with people on the internet, which can affect a lot of the time. People don't post stuff online because they fear that someone's going to say something back.
100%, mate. Yeah. And I do that as well, mate. Still, a lot of people, like, lads and girls that work at the fire station, sometimes they'll rip the piss out of me for the stuff I'll post sometimes, but they'll also say, have you got the balls to post stuff like that sometimes? And I'll just say, well, sometimes it's just a case of thinking, what's the worst that someone will do? Disagree with it and call me a dickhead. And it's like, I've been called worse, you know what I mean? My wife called me worse anyway. You know what I mean? It's true though, isn't it, mate? It's like sometimes you got to think, do you know what? And a perfect thing, I'm just going to segue slightly. My wife's just finished reading it, right? You may know this book, mate, but there's a book by, I think it's Mark Manson, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Yeah. That book. All you need to do is read the title and that you know what that book's going to be about. You know what I mean? And she's just read it now and she absolutely loved it. And I'm going to read it through again. And I learned from that, it's like, who gives a shit what people think? You know what I mean? As long as you're not being, sexist, racist or anything, that's a totally different thing. But it's like, if people don't like what you post, well, they'll unfollow you. It's the worst that'll happen, isn't it?
Yeah, you only want to attract the right people.
Exactly, mate. Correct.
Someone else.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree.
So, what we've not mentioned yet is you've had numerous pro athletes in the gym over the last couple of years, haven't you? Namely, pro MMA fighters, Stapes that we mentioned, Sol Rogers as well. For anyone who, I'm still working on getting Sol on. Actually, he's not got back to me yet. But I believe he's not the best at getting back to people. It comes from one of his good mates. That. So Sol, if you are listening, which you're probably not, message me. Anyway, so Sol Rogers, who appeared on The Ultimate Fighter, currently fights for Bellator. Is that right? Or he was?
Yeah. As far as I know, yeah. Obviously, there's not many fights going on at the minute. But
no. And have you got any others working with you at the moment, mate, or you have done in the past?
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky. So obviously, when I first so going back to that one, so when it was Stapes who put Saul onto me. Yeah. And then when Saul came, this is another little tip for PTs as well.
Yeah.
When Saul came in, I thought, right, that's it. I'm an athlete coach now. I'm a strength coach for athletes.
Yeah.
And again, don't take it personally. Clients will come and go. So Saul's training with his brother now. He's a cool coach as well. But yeah, that was it. I just thought, right, I'm going to be just train athletes. This is going to be like the UK version of the Francos. We're going to have athletes climbing through the doors to get here.
Yeah.
But the long and short of it is, the bread and butter of our training is general pops. It's the normal guys like us who come through the door, and then I get just as much satisfaction training people who do a 9-to-5 job than people who live like a lifestyle that we can't even imagine. But yeah, so labs like Saul's been in. Obviously, Stapes has been in. Ando came in for a build up to a fight. I've got Ando Sheldon.
Yeah,
definitely one to watch as well.
Yeah,
he's been in for a fight camp. I've got Kyron in at the moment. So Kyron Sturrock, another one to watch.
Yeah.
Also, so back when I first started training from Mayfield Rugby Club, I used to borrow their gym. I trained a very young Will Ferry, who's now at Southampton. He was on the bench. So I don't know when this will be, but last night Southampton played United.
Nice.
So he was on the bench there. I train his dad. I train his sister at the minute online.
Right, cool.
Oh yeah, so and super cool. He's definitely one to watch. He's right. I think he's Irish under-21s international at the minute. So yeah, I've been really lucky. But for me personally, and athletes that come in through my doors, they're kind of like, that's just kind of something special. I just really look forward to that.
Yeah,
it's seldom that. It's not many, but I do get as much. I probably get as much satisfaction, if not more, training the kids.
Yeah.
So
that's a big thing for you at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah. So obviously my youngest lad, he's playing grassroots football. And it kind of like stemmed from there, really. I wanted to do something that it was different to what I used to do when I played football, which is laps. Lots of laps, lots of sprints, lots of hill sprints, so much running, and then spend the last 15 minutes with a ball at your feet when you're already bollocksed.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do something a little bit different than that. That's kind of spurred me on. So I've got some really cool guys coming up from the Savages. Well, they're not Savages, that's YPP now. But so yeah, I've got a young lad who's plays for Great Britain at lacrosse. I've got some guys that play for Mayfield. They're under 15, under 16 levels.
Rugby, yeah?
Yeah, rugby league.
Real rugby.
Don't tell anyone, but I don't watch rugby.
Well, that's because you're not originally from Rochdale, I think, innit, mate? If you were, you probably wouldn't have had much choice, I don't think, would you?
Yeah. There's not many egg chasers where I came from. But if I was from Rochdale, then yeah, I definitely would probably be more into rugby.
Yeah.
I've got my thread now. Oh yeah, so I've got like a couple of girls who play football. So it's all playing like different sports, and that's really, really cool. That's what's kind of that's really got me interested in a minute.
Nice, good. Yeah, and that's the thing I've noticed on your like your Instagram in particular is like that slight sort of takeover, if you like, a bit more about the kids and the youth development. And obviously there was something that the other day, wasn't it, that I gave a show, and it's dead important, just to, without going in too deep into it, is like you said about when you were a kid, and it was exactly the same for me when I played rugby league when I was a kid. It was just the only kind of fitness or conditioning, whatever you want to call it, was just running. That was it. And don't get me wrong, the sport is running, but it's more than just running. Obviously, it's running in different directions, changing the direction and everything. And running round and round a football field or rugby field, it's only going to serve so much of a purpose in it. And like I said, by the time you're finished, you're bollocks, and then they expect you to display your skills, which, again, I suppose in a real rugby game or a football game, that's going to happen. You're going to have to use your skills when you are knackered. But there's a better approach in there. There's definitely a better approach.
Yeah, and the way I see it as well is if you're doing, like, say, if you're strength training, you wouldn't give someone a massive warm-up where they're doing 20, 30, 35, 40 sets before they get into the strength work.
Correct.
And that's kind of how I link it. You don't really give someone a shit ton of cardio and then say, right, well, this is what's going to happen in a game. So you're going to try and do skillful, or rather learn the skill, then add endurance, and then progressively overload that endurance. It's the same. I mean, you know as well as I do, it's the same. The principles are few. The methods are outrageously huge, but the principles pretty much stay the same. It's got to be progressive to do it.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. So obviously the whole youth development thing is playing a big part in the business. So is that the future for you, do you think, or is it, are you going to keep the two sides running? So you've got your general population, if you like, adult sessions with your youth stuff, or are you just going to try and maintain that as it is, or are you pushing in one direction, do you think?
I think business sense, it's probably makes more sense to keep them both running.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at like kind of expanding a little bit as well.
Nice.
Try and just build a bit and try and get more coaches in that can deliver, various different things.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes, from a business point, it kind of makes sense not to really cut one off for the sake of the other, just to keep them both running.
And especially if you enjoy it, that's the thing, innit? Because you say you still get the satisfaction. That's the thing, innit?
Yeah, and I think it doesn't really matter who the client is. The reason that we do this because we enjoy helping people.
Mm-hmm.
Bloody hell, you save lives for a living, for God's sake. So yeah, you do.
Cats out of trees, everyone always says.
Cats out of trees. They're still alive. Cats have lives. So it's the reason why people get into this, because they enjoy caring about people. They want people to succeed, want people to get better. The genuine ones, anyway.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter if it is that walks through the door. You are welcome, don't you?
Of course you do, mate. Yeah, as long as they want help themselves as well.
Yeah,
There needs
exactly.
to be some buy-in, don't there, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right, mate. So moving on from the business stuff now. You've mentioned obviously you're married, got a couple of kids. So like, especially with running the business, and I know you've touched on it briefly with you saying, you know, getting up early, coming home for like literally 10 minutes before going out the door to train people after teaching all day and things like that. But like, sort of, what other struggles do you have even now with running your own business? Like, what are your struggles you get as a dad? You know, because with the point of the show being, you know, kind of aiming this show at dads in particular, is like, you know, none of us have it easy. We all have it difficult in various ways. You know, everyone's got their own sort of issues, their own struggles, and that. So, what kind of things tend to crop up for you, mate? For whether it be on a daily basis or what with your
Yeah.
lads?
So like back when my kids were like young, my kids were diagnosed with autism from like really young age.
Mm-hmm.
So my eldest Ben, he was diagnosed with autism at like 4, and then
Right.
my youngest son Sam, he was diagnosed a bit early. He was like 3, and he was diagnosed with Asperger's. So there's a lot of meetings.
Yeah, can imagine.
Luckily, we're in a place where support's quite readily available. So there's quite a lot of meetings. My youngest son Sam, he goes to, so he's starting secondary school in September.
Nice.
So quite a lot of transitional stuff that's going on there. My oldest son Ben, he's getting into his last year of secondary school this year, so he's like prepping for college. So kids don't really do well with, well, a lot of kids don't really do well with change anyway, but my two especially don't.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff going on in the background. So that kind of takes a lot of time, which is got to come at the expense of, you know, maybe holding back on the business a little bit. So I think I'm one of the few people that's been a bit grateful for this lockdown because it let me get a lot of stuff in order.
I can imagine, mate. Yeah.
But yeah, but it's the same. I'm not going to say it's more difficult because I don't really know if it's more difficult.
Yeah.
Because being a dad's it's not easy anyway. As long as you get the basic stuff right, you know, they're safe, they're well loved, got a roof over their head. So I can't really compare it is tough, but I imagine it's tough for everyone.
Yeah, of course, mate. Yeah. So yeah, that'll be interesting then, mate, when he starts college, won't it?
Yeah, he wants to do media.
Nice. Well, there you go. That's it. If you've got an idea what he wants to do, that's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So he's got, like I say, he's got a bit of an interest in it. I'm not told him yet that I've already like put a little pinhole in it that he's going to start doing a little bit of work for me, so I can take one of the jobs that I do away from me.
Absolutely, mate. That's it. Perfect time for him.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Cool. Good stuff, mate. Right. So almost coming to the end now, mate. And I know you've listened to a few episodes, so you know what's coming. Hit us with your funny or embarrassing story, mate, to show us that you're, no matter who you are, what you've done, what you've achieved, you've made a tit of yourself at some point in your life.
Definitely. Well, I'm old and daft enough to have made a tit of myself quite a few times, but so I narrowed it down to like 3.
Hey, listen, you don't have to do one, mate. You can give us more than one.
So the first one that's fitness related was, so when I played football, there was a lad that used to train with us. It went shredded in the space of like 3 months. He was shredded. And I was like, you know, what's he been on to? He's on the gear or something like that. We spoke to him and said, oh, so I've just swapped out my protein shake that I've been having. So I said, all right. So it was about this protein shake. I thought, oh yeah, it's like a plant-based protein shake. Now you probably know where this is going, Dan. But so I had this plan. So I said, how do you get hold of that? So we have to subscribe to it. Well, you can not just go to the shop and get it. Well, no, I subscribe to it, and then like they'll send you some stuff and they'll give you a bit of info about it. So I thought, oh yeah, all right. So I'll do that. So I had this. So in case you don't know already, this was Juice Plus. So I started. So this was at least 10 years ago.
Right.
So there's a good ending to this. Well, I think so. It's a good ending anyway. So I went. So this is about 10 years ago. So I got the subscription, and I started getting emails saying, you know, you can get a little bit knocked off. We just promote the brand a little bit. So I thought, well, you know, so all right. And so, you know, told a couple of my mates. And then someone who I knew was a rep for it. I didn't know there was a rep. he said, "Oh," I said, "Well, so I'm going to go to this place, go to Finn, probably get a pint, and then just listen to a talk for a bit. Do you want to come?" So I thought, yeah, all right. And so went down, went to this talk, and it was like, it was the most surreal experience I've ever had. And it was like, there's like 100 people in this room. One guy at the front talking about Juice Plus, like it thrown up all over this room. There's banners everywhere, projectors, all sorts, and it was a little bit culty. So every time that someone mentioned like vibe, like, you know, something like stuff like buzzwords, any kind of buzzwords, it's like a whoop, like woo 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 from the crowd and everything. I thought, what the fuck is this?
It was like Tony Robbins was speaking or something.
Oh, mate. So it was at that point where I thought, I don't want to do this. But it was from there that I started looking into it. I thought, this can't be right. So I started talking to a couple of people that I knew a bit more about it.
Yeah.
They pointed me in a few directions of a couple of things to read, and I thought, this is actually pretty cool. So it did get me reading a bit more. It probably picked up my passion for picking up like coaching or getting into like sport like, you know, PT or something in some form. So even though it was a really weird experience, it did kind of kickstart me into picking this up again. So even though it's quite embarrassing that not many PTs will admit to taking Juice Plus, but yeah, a good thing came out of it. But yeah, so weird, so weird. Do you watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
No, do you know what, mate? I think I've seen like 1 or 2 episodes here and there. No, but I've not seen it properly. No.
Well, for anyone that watches it, it's it's a similar kind of experience on there. And there's taglines like "boom boom" to go, "Hey Dan, boom boom," and like a fist bump. That's pretty much what it was like. It was really, really cringy.
Hey, listen, fair play to you for admitting it, though, mate. Fair play to
you. Yeah. Cheers. So yeah. So
any more?
Oh yeah, I've got loads.
Yeah,
when I was 16, I auditioned for a boy band in Ireland.
Never.
Seriously.
No way.
So my mum and dad's Irish, or they were. They're not with us now, but we used to go over quite a lot to Ireland to see my family.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was over there, got like tap on the shoulder. These 2 girls were saying, "No, we're recruiting, just like the way you look." Said, "Do you want to try an audition for meet us at this place?" It's a bit of an audition. So I went down with my brother. This was like the day later. And yeah, it was a dance audition, so I had to dance for it.
Tell me there's a video of this somewhere.
No. This was like, so I think I was about 15, 16, so it would have been 1993.
Right. So did this band go on to be anyone we know?
I have got a clue. Probably not. But they said I was awful. I can't dance. People who know me know that I really, really can't dance. I don't make any effort to. And they said, "Oh, it's all right." He said, "You don't have to dance really. You can stand in the back." So they wanted me to come back, and then I kind of decided not to do it.
Right.
Yeah. Not many people. I don't think my wife knows that story.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And that for me, funnily enough, ties in with and obviously you don't coach him, but you've actually had Dave Green coaching Brian McFadden at your gym, haven't you? Who used to be in Westlife.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Maybe that group went on to be Westlife.
You don't know. We're about the same age as well, me and Brian McFadden.
There you go. You never know, mate.
You just don't know, do you, Dan?
You don't, mate.
It's a sliding doors. That's
nice. I like that one. Mate. I can only imagine what you must have felt like trying to dance in front of these people.
Yeah. Well, we've also got Strictly Come Dancing winner, Kelvin.
Mate, I was just going to mention that. Again, Dave Green is another coach. Shout out to Dave. Coaches, and has done for some time, hasn't it? Coaches 2019 Strictly Come Dancing winner, Kelvin Fletcher, who he trains him in your gym, doesn't he? More often than not.
Yeah. He comes down quite often. They're both absolutely, like Dave, we've got a ton of time for, learn quite a lot from him. And Kelvin's like just super nice guy. He's annoyingly nice, actually.
Right.
He's just a nice guy, yeah. He's real good.
Annoyingly nice. And again, we mentioned this, but I'm working on trying to get Kelvin on the show. So, Kelvin, if you're listening,
we'll tag him in there.
Message me back, mate. Right, pal. So I think we'll call it a day there, mate. We've got a nice little insight into your business, your life as a dad, and of course your embarrassing stories. So thanks for your time, brother. I really appreciate it.
Oh, mate, it's a pleasure. Thanks for asking me. Thanks for putting me on after some amazing guests like WWE stars, Jodie Franco, people who set up organisations that help the country, and then you've got some gym monkey like me.
My pleasure, mate. My pleasure.
I failed at a boy band audition.
Listen, we're all from all walks of life on this show, mate. So before we go, mate, just to let everyone know where they can catch you on social media, pal. Make sure everyone gives you a follow and things like that.
Yeah, nice one. So it's APOC_Laves, Laves. That's for Instagram, Twitter as well, but don't really use Twitter that much. Facebook is Apocalypse Training Systems, and yeah, website is Apocalypse Training Systems. That's pretty much it.
I'm going to just before we go, it's one thing I've always wanted to ask you, so I'm going to jump back a little bit now. Where did the name Apocalypse come from? That's one thing I forgot to ask you. What does it mean? Right. Where did it come from?
So it's so it's not really like an end of the world type kind of stuff. It's more so like the original meaning of apocalypse is like the unveiling of like a new beginning.
Okay.
So it's kind of like it's pretty much me and myself. It's a new beginning of like
I like it.
From a new life, an old life of teaching and not being very happy to still teaching just a different subjects, but obviously a lot happier. And we try and bring that to our guys as well. So people who come from all walks of life, they want to do something new. Nice. So it's like a new lease of life kind of way.
Nice. I like it, mate. I like it. Right. We'll call it a day there, mate. I'll speak to you soon, no doubt. I'll be when the gyms are when I'm allowed to in a few weeks' time. Hopefully, we'll be. I'll come for another visit.
Well, I'm 100% coming down to your place as well.
You'll be too busy, you mate. I think you'll be too busy. All right, mate. Take it easy.
Cheers, Dan.
See you later, mate. Take it easy, pal.